Hello, my friends. Welcome to a really noisy end of day one here at Setup for the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival. It is a joy to be back. It is such a fun event, and we have a lot of familiar faces and some new faces too. I hope you can hear me over this insane angle grinding, beeping, forklifts, all the things. I just want to do a quick tour around to see how much everyone got done today. Follow along. Okay, this is my friend John. It is his first time doing a major display garden for the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival, and I think he's done a fabulous job. He was telling me that he actually commissioned this basin here, which is going to turn into a pond, which I'm super excited about. Okay, so as we come to this next garden, this is GMC Landscapes, and they do a ton of work around the Northwest. And this year they're showcasing a pond, which I'm really excited to see. This is something that I haven't seen them do at the show, so I'll be really interested to see how this turns out. But it is something that they know, they love, they do on repeat. Okay, so behind me, we have Devonshire Landscapes. Now, what I think is really cool about this company is they primarily work in West Seattle. They just love their community of West Seattle, and that's where you will find them most of the time, which I think it's really wonderful when you know who your people are, you know who you serve, and I'm excited to see what they come up with. They have been working primarily today on this beautiful structure that you see. It looks like they pre-constructed that, and then they've just been pulling together all of the elements as they've arrived on site. You know, the other thing I'm noticing as well is there are a lot of people using an incredible array of reclaimed materials, and this is no exception. There's tons of split logs, tons of reclaimed wood. I'm going to be really excited to watch this one take shape. Okay, I cannot remember who is doing the garden behind me, but this is a very ambitious finish to day one. They've used a lot of this concrete retaining wall block. Really simple and straightforward, but what I think is really interesting is they've angled the entire design in this corner, and then they have all of these raised planters back here, which I think adds this beautiful depth and dimension to the space. So really great start, beautiful framework in place. We'll see what comes about. Behind me, there's always a garden that is done by Puget Sound Growers Association. Really fun little, oh my gosh, fun little organization. Okay, now I'm very excited for this next one. Behind me, you are going to see an incredible reclaimed stumps. Some of these pieces are 12 feet tall. They are absolutely gargantuan. And from what I hear, this is going to be a little bit of a fairy scavenger hunt. And that's right up my alley. It's whimsical, it's interesting, it's reclaimed. So I'm very excited to see the progress here. Okay, so some of the folks behind me were a few of the later people to pull in today. So they are still working and will probably be working until much later in the evening than those of us who got here at 9 a.m. Okay, this next one is Tony. This is my neighbor from last year, and I want you to take you to both sides of this. He constructed this circle, and it almost looks like a moon gate, and I am just completely freaking out over it. He does something beautifully wonderful every single year. So come and let's take a look at the other side. Okay, so behind me you can see Tony hard at work, and you just see this incredible shape that's taking place as the rock comes over the top of that archway. I think it's going to be stunning. Okay, these people over here, all right. I want to give, oh, I've got people coming through, hold on. Okay, so this is Adam Gorinsky. I need to double check the spelling of his last name. Adam has done years and years and years of the Flower and Garden Show, and he's doing something that I feel like we have not seen, okay? Do you see this platform with all of the grasses that are dormant? This, to me, this is sexy. This is incredible winter texture. Everyone is always in such a rush to cut back their grasses, but this is so reflective of like what is actually happening at this time of year. And for me, I leave my grasses up all winter long, hard stop. Okay, so we have a couple of different gardens that we're gonna show you from this vantage point. Over here to the right, this is the Orchid Growers, and they usually do a beautiful rock formation that it looks crazy when it's coming together. It is this hodgepodge of plywood, rock, and it's absolutely incredible once it all comes to life. The thing that I think is really interesting this year is they've done this beautiful horseshoe shape, and so I'm going to be really interested to see what's kind of enclosed in that little bit of a hub. Okay, so this is another garden that had a noon load-in time. I always feel absolutely terrible because I know what it's like to arrive at noon and you have to work so far into the evening to keep pace with what everyone else is doing. But they are making absolutely incredible progress. They've set up this giant platform using pallets. So I'm going to be very interested to see, what are they going to edge here? Like, what is going to be on top of the pallet? Is this going to be all seating? I'm kind of curious what's going to come about. Okay, so I believe this is the Washington Association of Landscape Professionals, but I need to double check that. When we got here this morning, they already had this beautiful modern shed in place, which I would love this in my home. And the other thing that they're doing is they have a really strong bark story right here in the front. So we just see a lot of really interesting texture. Okay, next one. Now, the folks behind me were only here for a little bit of the day. So there's still just a ton of mystery in terms of what this is going to look like, what we're going to see. So we'll have to come back on that. All right. This gunneria is stunning. It is stunning. And of course, this is Claire Hanna. I met her last year at the show. She is someone who has recently launched their business, and she is doing just fabulous, interesting, wonderful things. So much personality, so much detail in the work that she's doing. So she has set up a really interesting paving pattern. You can see this kind of curved archway that is a walkway. Then we have some pavers laid at sort of a diagonal. So there's a lot to take in here. She is working through a lot of those really hard details right now, and I'm just so excited to see what she comes up with. All right, we are gonna swing around. Okay, these are the folks from Hartley Botanical, and they construct some of the most beautiful greenhouses in the entire world, in my opinion. I'm actually loving this. I thought this was black at first, but it is just this soft, yummy, deep browny bronze, and it lends a softness as opposed to that black greenhouse that sometimes can lean a little bit modern or Victorian. This I just feel like is subtle, it's classic, it's amazing. They've actually used cast on, which I haven't seen used in shows in the past. Cast on is who constructs these huge blocks that surround the entire project. So I'm very excited to see what comes of this. We should take a peek around. Okay, last but not least, I'm not gonna get too close. These are the folks from Ellendon Garden, and every year they do a real stunner of a show. There's always a lot of large boulders, there's some bonsai. They are very specific and refined in their taste, and so it's kind of fun to know what someone is gonna produce and then see how they keep changing that perspective every year. So, like I said, they use a lot of heavy machinery. There's just a lot of hard work that goes into this garden, so I don't want to get too close and it interrupts their work. But it's a fun one. Okay, so here we are back at my garden. And we basically, just to give you a little snapshot of our day, we've really focused in on structure. Structure is super important in this garden because getting that envelope complete is what is going to help us achieve a little bit of the illusion that you find yourself in an outdoor space. So most of today was really getting all of these giant evergreens in place. And just for a frame of reference, over here, some of these evergreens are 14 feet tall. And we're lucky that we were able to borrow so many of these trees from a nursery called Big Trees. It's just been a total treat. All right, friends, it has been a wild ride for day one. I'm gonna go home, get a good night's sleep, and I will see you in the morning.